Let's think of a narcissist as a wagon that has four wheels. Maybe it's a covered wagon, maybe it's pioneers heading out west to set up a new homestead, and they're traveling westward in their wagon, and one of the wheels falls off. Well, they're stuck, right? That's not an operational wagon. Now, when you think of it, narcissists like that, we're thinking that there are four wheels that make this individual go. Now, there may be other motivating factors, like a wagon has a horse, right? Horses, but basically without the wheels, without those fundamental elements, this narcissist isn't going anywhere. Now, the reason we're talking about this, by the way, is we talk a lot about narcissist, and we talk about what they do, how they do it, why they do it, how we are to respond. But now we're going to go to the basics, to the very fundamental. What are the underpinnings? What are those four wheels that make this creature roll? Number one is this: childlike thinking. As I like to say, every narcissist that I have ever met seems to have the emotional maturity of an 11-year-old. It's as if their brain just stopped growing, or their emotional component of their brain stopped growing when they turned 11 years old, and they still approach the world that way. But in some aspects, they're much younger than that. They're almost like toddlers. Now, if you remember back when you were a toddler, or just, think of any toddler, one of the things you notice is by nature, they're very self-centered. Even an 11-year-old has a little bit of understanding about common sense when it comes to social interaction, but a toddler, the whole world revolves around him. The whole world surrounds him and his feelings and what he wants. So if he's hungry, a little baby cries. That's natural. They're supposed to do that. So to get your attention, say this kid needs to eat, or if he's hurt, he'll cry. But when he starts to mature into a toddler, that gets to be a little bit annoying. So we're thinking, when is this kid going to grow out of this? Well, we were the same way, right? When we were toddlers, well, narcissist is, in that sense, he's kind of like a toddler, that he expects the entire world, or she expects the entire world, to respond to her needs, or to her wants, or to her desires, or his desire. A toddler, everything belongs to him or her. They don't know. They've not learned that this thing about property, that's not mine, that belongs to someone else, you leave it alone. But a little kid, they don't know that. They've not learned that. Well, a narcissist is kind of stuck in that mode where everything belongs to them. They are entitled. So they seem to lack this ability of just basic cognition. They can't think through things. They don't stop and reason. They just react. They're responsive without being responsible. That's being reactive, as I like to say. Everything is theirs, including your opinion. You don't have your opinion, they have their opinion. So when we stop to understand this first of the four wheels, we realize that childlike thinking, this autopilot, this reactive thinking, is a part of who they are. And then we begin to understand, okay, well, what are the other three wheels? Well, number two is they have what we would call ego-centric reaction. And again, that's the toddler. That's a little 2-3-year-old just basically learning how to walk. Not yet the 11-year-old who is selfish usually, but playfully selfish. But these kids just don't have a lot of, talking about toddlers, they don't have a lot of empathy. Now, some of them do, but most, if you watch a bunch of little kids playing in a nursery, or wherever they happen to be together, maybe it's a family gathering and you've got several little kids, cousins or whatever. One thing I've noticed is that if one of the kids gets hurt and starts crying, the other kids pay no attention whatsoever. Now, there are exceptions to that. I know there's some little kids who are very empathetic. It's like, like they were born that way. They have this superpower where they care about others. But typically, when you're watching other kids play together, one of them gets mad and the others, they don't necessarily respond to it. At the very best, they try to stay out of the way, and usually they don't even do that. Sometimes they get hurt because they don't have enough sense to get out of the way. But that's a narcissist. They have no empathy. Somebody else is hurt, they don't care. Somebody else is playing with their toys. Oh, those are my toys. I'm going to take them away. Let me see if I want this. And sometimes you have these little toddlers and they get into a fight over something that is, to you and I, mature adults, something that's kind of worthless, maybe a block, maybe a Lego, and they will fight and scream and holler. Mine well, the two words that we learn as children, first two words we learn, number one is no, and the second one seems to be mine. At least that's my observation. And that is just a perfect description of a narcissist. So the second wheel is they have what I call ego-centric reaction. Everything is about them. So they have this childlike thinking and they have ego-centric reaction. Number three, the third wheel on the wagon, is what I would call all or none thinking, black and white thinking. That is to say that they are always right and you are always wrong. Okay, so you got these kids fighting over a Lego. Both of them are convinced they should have it. There's no middle ground. There's no, okay, you take it for 5 minutes and I'll take it for 5 minutes and then we'll share back and forth. I don't think that would work anyhow, but you get the idea. So there is nothing in between black and white. There is no what we would call moderation or modulation. They always have to be in control. They always have to be in charge. And if you've ever had the displeasure of working with one of these people on the job, and you probably have because they're all over, not necessarily narcissists, but people with this narcissistic trait where they have to be in control, even if it's dumb, even if it goes against policy or protocol. What is important to the narcissist is that he or she is in control. That's childish thinking. That's all or nothing thinking. There is no middle ground. The idea of sharing, no, they don't share. Put these people in a vehicle behind a wheel, and the road is theirs. You better not get in their way because, well, the road belongs to them. At least that's the way they seem to think. Laws, rules are for everyone else. It's all about them. Nothing in between. Number four is what we would call they are the standard. That is to say, the narcissist sees himself or hisself as the standard for comparing everybody else, no matter what the circumstance. So, have you ever been in a room with a narcissist and the narcissist thinks it's a little bit too cold? So, turn down the air conditioner, turn up the heat, whichever. Thinks it's too hot, they do the opposite. They don't think about everybody else unless they need the support of others to get their own way. Then they may say something like, don't you think it's hot in here? Just to get other people to support them, but ultimately they don't really care what other people think. They want their own way all the time, every time. They are the standard. Now, they may refer to other people as being arrogant. In fact, most narcissists that I've encountered, this is one of the key factors, is they love to point out the arrogance of others. They see everyone else, everyone else. I'm sure not all narcissists do this. I'm talking about people that I've dealt with. But they see everyone else as arrogant. Everyone else is narcissistic. That's obvious projection, right? They're seeing themselves in other people. But they are the standard. And they cannot possibly be arrogant, so everyone else has to be. They cannot be stupid. Everyone else is stupid because they're the brightest. They're just incredibly smart. These people criticize Einstein. He didn't get it right. And what about, think of the 5 wealthiest business people on the planet. The narcissist typically can tell you what's wrong with all 5 of those people because he is smarter than all 5 of them collectively. I got to tell you, I could probably find something wrong with the 5 wealthiest people on the planet, but it wouldn't have anything to do with their capability of earning money. These people are extremely bright. They're extremely capable. But to a narcissist, nah. They must have cheated. That's the only way they could have got it done. But when it comes to you, same thing applies. When it comes to everybody around them, the same thing applies. Now, there may be one small exception. Typically, narcissists, when they're dealing with other people, and they're talking about their own family, their own children. Often, but not always, narcissists are very defensive. In fact, they just flat out brag about how brilliant their children are. Well, of course, compared to you, their children are smarter. They may not even want your children to play with their children because, well, they just wouldn't be right because you're low grade. Well, everyone's low grade. Everyone is a pawn. Everyone is somebody to be manipulated. So they are the standard for comparing others. See those two rectangles on the screen? Okay, let's keep on talking if you want to. If not, well, thanks for stopping by. But all you got to do is click on one of those two rectangles and we'll keep hanging out. But if not, see y'all next time.